Today, I'm going to be fixing a very common oil leak on these Titans and Armadas, or anything with a VK56 engine. All right, let's crawl down here and take a look. All right, most cases, there's a skid plate that goes from like here down to here. But that's already been removed. I got to get a different one that I'm going to be installing later. But the main thing I want to look at is to show you right there. See that oil coming out? This piece here, behind the oil filter, is the oil cooler. And there's a seal in between there and the block. You can see where it's wet back in there. That seal is leaking. Now, lucky for me and you, that's a relatively easy seal to replace. All right, let's start by first getting this oil filter off of here. Thank you, Nissan, for look at that little ramp right there. That's awesome. Thanks, Nissan. Now we'll let that drain for a little while. All right, now we let that drip for a little while. It's still dripping a little bit. You're gonna take a 22mm deep well socket. I'm gonna unscrew this thing. Oh, more juice coming out. Voila, just like that. And I cleaned that up. Don't that look a lot better than when it came out? Now the next part, you see how that thing's loose like that. We should be able to gently twist this thing around. And there's a seal back there. You see it? Maybe I can get it to it with my fingers and I don't have to get a pick. Ooh, it's coming. No, I'm getting a pick. Let me gently spin this thing back around again. There it is. Okay, it's parts time. O'Reilly's had two separate listings for the oil cooler gasket. It had a big one and a little one. So I wouldn't have to go to the parts house twice or guess, or take it apart and then go to the parts house. I just bought both of them. It was like less than $9 for both of them, so whatever. You can take the other one back. That's the way I would say do it. But anyway, in this case, it seems to be the smaller of the two for my application here. Well, you get it. In hindsight, I really should have sprayed all this down before I started. It's kind of gross in here. Let me give it a blast. There it is. We can spin this thing around, line it back up. Hope that seal don't fall out. I need to clean back here. I don't know if the camera's picking it up real good, but there's a lot of that old O-ring. It's like baked on the sealing surface. We need to scuff that up. This is kind of a pain in the butt to do, but it's not going to seal properly if you don't. All right, I don't know if you guys can see it, but back there, I got it cleaned off and sprayed down, and it's nice and clean now. My razor blade did not work as well. I ended up switching over, and I got me some Scotch-Brite pad like this stuff, and it took it right off. So now let's bolt it up. The way that oil cooler is shaped on the back, it holds that gasket in there pretty good, but you want to make sure that's seated well, because if not, it's going to leak really bad. Let me find out where the hole is. Wind this thing back up. It's got two locating tabs, one there and one on the other side, so you can make sure you get it lined up right. All right, now that we got this thing seated, I'm going to torque it to 36 foot-pounds. Now we're going to make sure this is all clean. No big chunks of crap in here where the clean oil goes. And installed a new oil filter. Z1 Off-Road is selling these factory oil filters for like $6 a piece. I went and bought a whole bunch of them, because literally this Armada takes the same part number as the Frontier, and even my wife's Subaru. And you can't beat a factory filter for a little over $6. Now at this point, I recommend, if you're doing an oil change, do an oil change. That's what I'm getting ready to do. You don't necessarily got to do that during an oil change if it's leaking, but you don't even have to replace the oil filter. If I had just changed the oil and noticed it, you just have to top it off from the oil you lost. But I'm about to change the oil. The main point I want to make is that before you put any of the skid plates or covers or any of that stuff on it, you want to start it and make sure it's not leaking. All right, my oil change is complete. I got everything topped off and tightened up. Let's see if she leaks. All right, well that one's done. To let you know, if you didn't have that seal set in there just right, when you first cranked it up, it would be skeeting oil everywhere. So you'll know if you did it right. If you don't see anything dripping or skeeting out, you'll be pretty good. And that was relatively easy. The hardest thing I had was trying to get a decent angle. This is probably not my best video because of that, being up under the front of this truck. And also the next hardest thing was trying to get behind that oil cooler and clean that sealing surface where that seal goes. But other than that, relatively easy, and you can save yourself a lot of money fixing this yourself. I hope I was helpful to somebody. I appreciate everybody watching. Come back and see me.